Hello and welcome back to the Rewriting Wellbeing podcast, episode 2.
Episode 2.
How you doing, Charlie?
Good, thank you. At the time of recording this, it's not Christmas yet.
Not Christmas.
So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
By the way, at time of recording, happy birthday for last week.
Happy birthday for next week.
Thank you very much. But when this goes out, it will be the day before.
Mm.
Dun, dun, dun,
The back to school.
the back to school. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about going back to school, the Christmas break, or just any break in general when you're teaching, and those feelings that I still get, even though I'm not in the classroom per se anymore, and I'm sure you used to get, as we all did when we were at school. How are you, by the way?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's been a long time. Haven't seen you for a while.
No.
You've clearly changed. I've not washed since the 28th, apparently. But yeah, no, good. Thank you, mate.
And in episode 3,
But I'll be the same. Just don't wash.
thing is, though, you taught me the tricks of the trade.
And I didn't.
To bring different shirts.
I didn't bring it.
Why don't each week we wear the shirt that we wore? So you wear my red one from last week.
Just cycle
And
through.
just cycle the shirts. Back to school.
Yeah.
So I think when we wanted the episodes to go out, we said Sunday night, because in general, I think it's a nice time for people to, if they hopefully if they want to listen to the podcast, they can listen to it on a Sunday, or if not, they can listen to it on the drive to work tomorrow or throughout the week. But I think this episode in particular will hopefully help, anyone that's listening as people prepare to go back to school tomorrow.
Yeah.
What would you, when you were teaching, what were the feelings like for you? Because everyone talks about the Sunday scaries.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they aren't just exclusive to teaching. But for you, can you talk a little bit about what they were like when you were teaching?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things, really. I think a big part for me was almost like feeling like I was about to lose my freedom. It was like I had this great weekend or this great holiday or a lovely Christmas break. And it was like almost like a big slap back to reality, but it was that loss of time for me.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, in all honesty, was that I wasn't boundarying time for me at all at that stage. So I could have had these little pockets of time for me. I could have joined a club on a Wednesday night if I wanted to, not run a club, joined a club as an adult. I could have had hobbies and stuff, but at the time I wasn't boundarying it. I just didn't believe it was possible to be a teacher and do anything for yourself. So I think that loss of freedom is a big one. And I think subconsciously, I didn't know it. It was just that feeling. I didn't really know it at the time, but I think it's that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Not knowing what's coming. And I had the last school I was at, I was sort of year 5, 6 for most of it. And in both those year groups, I had classes with children who found things really, really tough, for like every reason under the sun over the years. And it was the fear, like the gut wrenching fear of like what might that child do, or what might happen that day. I remember once, like sort of a bit of a, I don't want to say horror story, which sounds awful to say, but for me it was such a horrible morning, and I felt I took a lot of responsibility for myself. It was one of the first days of the year, so it's like maybe the second or third day, and we had been asked to do a spelling check for the children, which now, a bit older and wiser, I would personally disagree with that, particularly on the third day, but we needed a baseline and we had these assessments to do.
Straight in, though.
But it was straight in.
Yeah.
And this little boy, bless him, it was just a fear of, I think it was genuinely a fear of failure. He really struggled, a bit of sort of like global delay, if that's the right phrase. And sort of, he knew that he wouldn't be able, he was working on year 1 objectives and curriculum, and year 2 he wasn't working year 5. He knew these words that were coming up, which is what they need to know by the end of the year, right? He just knew it, and it's just too much. He ran around, he ripped up everyone's tests, tables went over, and I was like, right, it's the third day of the year. And the thing is, because I think a lot of us will have children with that level of need now in our classes.
Definitely.
And we may or may not be trained for it. And we have that emotional absorption that we get from, we go through with it. I think that for me was like, what is that person going to do? What's today's surprise going to be? And you're then in that almost like edging on fight or flight, aren't you?
100%.
What about you?
Generally, the 2 points you made for me are probably exactly the same. That sense of freedom, and it's not either. It's not been about being able to sleep in later. That's always nice during the holidays, but it was just that sense of freedom that I guess when we're teaching, it is so structured, and we know where we are, and in a way, for me, that's always been helpful. I like routine. But then in another way, it was nice during the holidays to be able to just have that freedom to do what you want when you want. But I definitely agree with you on the second point about the unknown. And it's really interesting to say that. I was talking to my mother-in-law about this, and about as humans, we like predictability. And the thing with teaching is we love the profession because no 2 days are the same, and it's never boring, and it is a job that keeps you on your toes, but then at the same time there isn't that predictability, and we know that's difficult for our young people, so they're feeling that sense of unpredictability. Your example is that must have been hard for you, because we take on, don't we, the feelings of the children in our class. I think for me, if I'm being completely honest, I think after the first year, maybe year and a half, maybe even 2 years of teaching, I did start to put boundaries in place. And don't get me wrong, it was hard, because when you're staying late marking and when you're getting home and not wanting to do anything else, I did, and I still do, try and make conscious effort to make time to do my own thing. But it is hard. And we all know there are certain even days of the week that are a bit more difficult. PPA days are always a bit nicer. But then there's certain times of the year, this autumn term that we have just come to an end of. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. And with the darker nights and the weather, and it being your prime example, having a new class, and there being so, I always said, after Christmas, you do enjoy the first term, because you're getting to know a new class, and it's exciting, and Christmas is a great time in school with nativities, and you get to take over and pretend you're an award-winning Hollywood
Thespian
director. But I always say, and I say this to anybody that I'm mentoring, I think just be really, really kind to yourself until Christmas, and then you will see the benefits of the hard work you're putting in after Christmas. That's how I always saw it. And it almost, because the children do develop and they do become familiar with you, it just takes that little bit of time. But I always, in class, would come back after Christmas. They had grown. I'll probably stop growing, but I always notice it used to be a bit more settled after Christmas. But I think I always try and put out on social media on a Sunday, and it's hard, and I'm sure you would agree. You almost sometimes can lose your Sunday to the thoughts of Monday. And I think that's something that I would always say to teachers or anybody who is, thinking about the week coming as opposed to where they are right now. It's difficult because we only get 2 days for the weekend.
It's not much.
And if you're spending half of your Sunday, all of your Sunday, thinking about work, I think there's a big difference as well, isn't there? I don't know what you think about this, but as teachers, I've always been quite good at switching off. But you never completely switch off.
No.
Like completely. I can definitely go through holidays where I don't think about what I have and haven't done, etc. And I know there are lots of people that can't do that or find that hard. But you never completely switch off. But I think it's finding that middle ground where you're still switched on to the extent that you might have thoughts here and there, but then you're able to kind of just park them and say, no, this is my weekend. This is for me. Yes, I have lots coming up, but I will tackle that, when the week starts. But it is so much easier said than done. What would be some of your, and I guess for this episode, we want to talk about our own experiences, but also some tips and tricks. What would you say is the number one tip for those people that are maybe struggling with that back to work anxiety?
I think, because as you were just talking there, it sort of popped to my mind. Just this could be any time during the holidays. I think it's a really, really good thing, particularly at the beginning and particularly at the end, though, or at a weekend. Again, it's great to do any time, really. But is the idea of getting outside, but also going to somewhere new. And that might sound a bit weird, but I think the power of new experiences. And I was reading about this the other day. Again, I'm not a neuroscientist, so don't quote me on this, but it was in a neuroscience book. So I'm hoping the research holds up. But basically, it was about kind of why as adults does time speed up?
Mm-hmm.
And it basically links back, and why do we feel like we're on a hamster wheel and Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
It's a bit tangent, but we will come back to it. But it was basically saying that a big part of that is obviously our we can conceptualize time and stuff, and we have more experience, we have more years, so those years are smaller parts of our life overall, so that speeds up time. But another big thing was about how we stop having as many new experiences.
Yeah.
And if you think about a child, I don't know what age they'd stop having a new experience every week.
It's true.
Particularly in those first 5 years, but then after that, even going through school, like imagine you're in a new year group. Every single week, you're learning something new, you're seeing something, you're hearing
100%.
It's all new experiences, right? And I think a big part of us as adults, why we feel like that, and why in the holidays it can feel almost like the holidays whiz by, is because maybe we do. I call it like a teacher taco. We end up a teacher taco on the sofa with our duvet and, all wrapped up.
Love
right?
it.
Which is great. And don't get me wrong, like Sunday, although I am working a bit next week, but Sunday, one of the first things I'm doing, I've got some mates coming over and we're going to do a Lord of the Rings marathon. And we're going to be in our pajamas and we're going to eat Lord of the Rings style food.
Where was he invited?
There might be a space for you. But yeah, like that, I'm going to be doing that this Christmas. Or I would have done that this Christmas by the time this comes out. So there's definitely time and place for that on weekends, in holidays. But if you can get some new experiences in, especially if they're outdoor experiences, and you don't have to spend loads of money, and it doesn't have to be a brand new experience, but even if it's somewhere you've been for a while, or on your morning walk or your walk, you go down a different route. It sounds so small, but actually the brain loves those new experiences. Great for dopamine. Do you know what I mean? If you're outside, great for serotonin as well. So there's a lot more we can get into today, but I think just off the top of my head, from what you said there, new experiences is a big one.
And I think that topic is something we can definitely come back to in a further episode, because I can definitely relate to that. I think back to the October half term, and I'm a big advocate for rest, and that rest doesn't need to be earned, or you don't need to have done X to rest. But I definitely do notice that when I have half terms or weekends where I do nothing, don't get me wrong, I love those kind of weekends and half terms now and again, but actually it is nice to have something to break it up.
Yeah.
And to almost slow the week down. Otherwise, like we said, you do feel like you're on a bit of a hamster wheel. And I guess it all comes down to balance.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think some teachers might put pressure on themselves to always be doing something in the holidays or during the weekend.
Christmas is a big... I think people listening to this...
Yeah.
There'll be some people, and I've had a lot of conversations with people that have gone, this Christmas I'm just going to have a quiet Christmas. I'm not making tons of plans. But I reckon there'll be lots of people listening who have not stopped yet.
Yeah.
And almost every day, particularly those who are parents or carers, but other people as well, some people book up every single day because they feel like we have to see family, we have to make the most of it, we quote unquote the most of it, have to do the DIY, have to get that charity shop clothes pile sorted. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's important.
I completely agree. And I think what we try to do in teaching is almost, we say that you need a break after the Christmas break, right? And I was actually having a conversation with my fiance earlier, because we're making plans over Christmas to see friends and family, because it is a nice opportunity. But we're also being very mindful that we leave days for us, both together and individually, because you can put that pressure on yourself, and you're spot on. And I think, especially if you've got children, it can just feel like it's just constant. And even though it is a time of year where, you want to see friends and family and be doing things, I think the big thing is it's okay to say no.
Yeah. And
it's okay to say, do you know what, I want to have this day to myself, or I want to have an afternoon of doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I think we can sometimes find that a bit hard, and we almost feel like you know, we have to be doing something
to be worthy or productive.
100%. And that if you say no to something, that either you're letting someone down or that you're missing out, but actually you need to protect your own energy as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because the last thing you want is to go back to school, which will be tomorrow when this goes out, and to feel like you have just been constantly on the go.
Yeah.
But again, we know it's hard, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of what we talk about, we never want it to sound like, you know, it's easy.
No.
A lot of this is easier said than done.
Yeah.
But it's just about having the kind of confidence.
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think we'll nip it in the bud. We'll get it in early, episode 2. Are we going to call this episode 2 or episode 70? Because it's technically episode 79 of the whole podcast. But for us, this new podcast is episode 2, isn't it?
Yeah, but I really want you to reach 100 from the start.
Yeah.
And if we start again, we'll be in our 40s by the time that happens.
Yeah, that is very true.
So let's call it episode 79.
/2.
/2.
There we go. There'll be a whole index. We need to come up with a system, searchable. But yeah, we'll nip it in the bud early of this new version of the podcast. That idea of self first, not selfish. And I think we are conditioned, aren't we?
100%.
And there was for a long time. There still is a difference between with gender. So we saw it a lot in terms of people who identified as female and struggling with this more, struggling with putting themselves first more, and feelings of maybe other people's needs being more important than theirs, having to give and care and all that stuff. We've seen a massive increase in terms of people who identify as male, though. Like that's coming on, like sort of our generation.
Yeah,
we're
definitely
experiencing it a lot more. But I think I can imagine. I wouldn't know the statistics off the top of my head, but I can imagine now it's probably still skewed. But I think a lot of us struggle with it, and there's like the caring, conscientious people that go into teaching.
Definitely.
We are carers and givers, and we want to see people do well. So it's that not necessarily low self-worth, but I think it's lack of confidence with your needs being as important as other people's.
Yeah.
And sometimes even, dare I say it, more important. But that is hard.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's that, I think I talk quite a lot about when I post things on Instagram about selflessness and not selfishness. And we sometimes think that doing things for ourselves is selfish, but actually it's selfless, because that whole idea of we can't show up for others if we're not putting ourselves first. And again, this could be a whole episode in itself in terms of what it is to put yourself first, because there is a fine line, because lots of us will have responsibilities, friends and family and children and work, and you know we can't just say no to everything. Can you imagine, you know, calling up work, you know, I'm not coming in today, I'm putting myself first. Look, if we need to do that, but actually we know we have responsibilities and things that we do need to do. But I think again, it's having that confidence and being okay with saying today, this afternoon, tomorrow, I'm putting myself first. And I think the biggest thing is with teaching, we are all a certain type of person, aren't we? You know, not just teachers exclusively, by the way. There are lots of caring people that do other jobs, but I think as teachers, we do sometimes, I don't want to say care too much, but we do put our absolute heart and life and soul into teaching. And again, it's that balance between caring, because I don't think we could do this job if we didn't care.
No.
But also knowing that we come first, which I think is really important. I know that's a lot of what you do with the people you speak to. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got one client in my mind who's inside Building Better Balance at the moment. She's got 5 children. And if I said to her, don't worry about them, put yourself first.
Yeah.
She'd be like, well, that's about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Do you know what I mean? It's about that harmony between those different parts of your life. And it's almost like sliders, isn't it? You know, on a, whatever they call it, DJ deck or whatever the full name is, you know, it's sliding stuff down, because balance is a little bit too rigid sometimes. And I think harmony of sliding bits is a bit more fluid. Do you know what I mean? And if people feel like, okay, this Christmas holiday, sliders have been all towards everyone else, and now they're starting to think and panic about work, maybe, and maybe it's been all about everyone else, not about them, and not about work. You know what I mean? There's that problem, but
100%.
trying to slide things back towards you. And we can talk through, like, I've got a little framework that I talk about the 3 C's in terms of like the actual, like, that fear, that anxiety on the Sunday. We can talk about that. But I think generally speaking, there's a rule of thumb for all the episodes that self first, not selfish.
100%. And you just reminded me of something that I heard a couple of weeks ago, and it's about, and again, you'll notice we go off tangent a little bit, but it's all related, and it's that idea of what your 100% looks like every day. And when you were talking, it was making me think of that, and that, listen, in an ideal world, it would be 50-50 in every relationship we have, whether it's a relationship with work, with our kids, with partners, etc. But actually, sometimes it will need to be slightly skewed in one way, depending on what that person wants. But I think it's also trying to come back to, like you said, this weekend, this week has been a lot about other people, and now need to do something for myself. And as I'm talking, I'm already thinking about some of the things you and I have spoken about. The kind of, what I would say is like the tokenistic things that we think well-being can look like, but also on the other end of it, the things that actually can really help us. I know you're working a lot with schools recently. Are you seeing that the narrative is shifting away from those tokenistic things to more towards the things that matter a bit more?
Slightly. And, you know, next episode when we get into the wellbeing index, that's going to be a similar narrative. Slightly, but not enough. Basically. There's still a lot of every level. You know, we're not talking about SLT and leaders here. There's the whole thing, isn't there? We're all a leader, no matter where you are on the pay scale. We're all a leader of someone. But every layer, I think wellbeing is still a massively misunderstood topic. And it's still driven towards the niceties and the nice stuff we can do for people, which is important. Like, you bought me a coffee earlier. That was lovely. Thank you very much. Do you know what I mean?
Welcome,
But is that coffee going to help my health in 2 months' time? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? It's a lovely thing to have done. And I did ask him for it, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll pay that later. Imagine I was having a really crap day when I turned up. That would have put a smile on my face. That would have been great.
Short term.
But is it going to help me in 2 months' time?
100%,
And you can't afford to buy me a coffee every time, you know, every day.
Every
time I have a dip.
I only see you once a month, so maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's a commitment.
But what are you going to do in between?
Exactly.
But and you make such a good point, and I think that's what it's like in schools, but also in life in general, is there will be things that make us feel good. And when I think about the kind of tokenistic or the kind of typical things we talk about, you know, a bubble bath or, you know, having a movie night and they're really lovely things, and they're things that can definitely help us in the moment and to make us feel grounded, or to make us feel just, you know, at ease. But then we also need to be thinking about those things, like you said, that help long term. And so, you know, chocolate in the staff room was always lovely if you got there first, otherwise all the good ones were gone. But actually, in terms of schools and supporting staff well-being, it does need to go a little bit deeper. And I think, and we'll talk about the wellbeing index, like we said, in the next episode, but we definitely want to focus on the positives, but also how we can address the things that aren't so positive. But I think it is seeing the bigger picture.
100%. Yeah. So the way that I sort of think about it, I've just realised, if you said there about chocolate, we haven't done our biscuits this episode.
We have not.
Well, have we got them close by, or should we do it later?
Let's do it now.
Yeah?
If you've mentioned biscuits...
We need to do the biscuits.
You can't say biscuits and then...
This is a nice middle ground. So, yeah, don't let me forget, I was going to talk about compassionate and constructive. Constructive and comforting compassion. If I forget what I'm going to say after the biscuits, remind me of that.
I will do. But this is a great time to have some comfort and compassion.
There we go.
There you go.
Right.
So last episode, it was the shortbread.
The Christmas tree shortbread.
Right.
Very, very nice.
Thank you very much. I didn't bake them myself, but they... so these are a personal favourite of mine.
Oh.
Right.
How old do I know you?
How many?
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very much.
Right.
Oh, we're rectangular. I thought I know what it was, but this side feels smoother. It feels like it might be a bit chocolatey on this side. See, I'm thinking of the not the nice biscuits. I'm thinking of the malted milk cows, but that's that side. This side is it a chocolate malted milk? Do they
Find out.
Do they exist?
This is going to be a meme. I can just tell. Yeah, well done.
Wow.
These, obviously, other brands are available, but that,
I didn't know that was a thing.
honestly,
That's right. The best bit of a chocolate digestive.
Yep.
Mixed with a malted milk.
Yep. Because malted milk are nice on their own, but obviously they're a little bit plain per se. But
Oh, yeah.
add a bit.
Well, this is good.
Dangerous though, by the way.
I can imagine.
I could devour at least half a pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't do last time. We need to do a out of 10.
Yeah, taste test. So the shortbreads.
Yeah.
I do like shortbread, but I'm a chocolate person.
Yeah.
So shortbreads, I'd probably say, if I'm being really harsh, because we've got to keep the 10 out of 10 spot.
Oh,
for the utmost absolute. I don't even know what will go there.
100%.
So the shortbread trees, they're all great. I think any biscuit's going to be great.
Yeah.
Maybe a 6.
I'd say that. Yeah. I think I'd go 6 for those ones because they were good quality shortbread. Because some shortbread can be really dry.
Yeah.
I thought they were also from episode 1. The shortbreads were really good. Yeah. What about these? The more chocolate.
That was good.
Yeah.
I reckon go 8.
I'm
just a bit of wiggle room above it.
I'm gonna go 8.5.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? If I was being really honest, it could even be a 9 because genuinely, I'm trying to think what's up there. Also, need to be careful because I've just read recently there are a lot of chocolates that are now being reclassified as biscuits, and I think some the other way. So we'll have to be careful
define on terms.
It's a time out now, biscuit.
It is.
I don't want to be making things up.
That's wafery in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a Kit Kat biscuit.
Is a Jaffa cake a cake?
I think technically yes, because it's sponge, isn't it?
We should.
There we go. Should we know? Right in.
Should we do a whole episode on biscuits?
What type of thing is it?
Funny thing is, we'll probably get more comments and likes and views on a biscuit episode. But one of the reasons why we spoke last week about biscuits is because they are a good thing to have in your drawer at work.
Yeah.
If I remember when I was working in school, even if it was straight after the children left at 3:30, quick biscuit.
Yeah.
It just gives that little bit of energy you need because something's just come to mind because when you were in school, were you, and I know there'll be lots of people out there who kind of get in early and leave late, which is something we talk about next week, but were you somebody who got more done in the mornings? Did you get in earlier or did you get more done after school? Because this is always an interesting one.
It changed, it changed at different points in my career, I think.
Yeah.
But at my lowest point, I was first in the car park, last out the car park. And this is going to sound, I don't think, not saying this applies to anyone else, but for me personally, that started to become my internal expectation.
Yeah.
To the point where if I wasn't first in the car park and last out, I would genuinely, sounds crazy to say it out loud, but I would genuinely be like, have I done enough?
Yeah.
Am I working hard enough?
Yeah.
And I'd almost feel like, it's going to sound crazy, but I almost started to feel annoyed if someone beat me to the car park. Because that was my thing. I was the first in, I was the last out. It became this badge of honor. Like, it really, really did. Not saying anyone else feels like that, but some people might relate to it. But it became a weird, almost need to almost look how hard I'm working. And for me personally, it was a way of proving my worth. Yeah, 100%. At different times, it was different.
Are you finding that with the teachers and school staff that you're working with? Are you finding that, because you had said about that badge of honor and that almost, we build this thing where we feel like we have to be doing X and we have to be. Are you seeing a lot of school staff feeling the same way?
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I know I keep saying it, but we'll come back to this in episode 3 because we really want to delve into that. But just briefly, where do you think that comes from? Because I've always been so interested.
I think it's a real mix.
Yeah.
I think there's a few factors. I wrote an article about this recently, sort of the good enough epidemic, because there is an epidemic of people not feeling good enough, basically, in education. And I think there's so many factors. I think sometimes it's the type of person that goes in to teaching or education. So if you're caring and conscientious, that could be part of it. You know, teaching can often attract people who love project style work. So there's not always a start and an end, but there's a process to things. Like you do your planning, you do this, you do that. And sometimes projects can often get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like if we wanted to, we could have procrastinated this for a year and we could have saved up money and we could have got a studio in London. And we could have planned and we could have put so much work in, and hopefully it looks quite nice. But we've done this pretty quickly. Do you know what I mean? But projects can expand. So it's that project mindset. I think sometimes the vocation trap is to blame, and that idea of, oh, you're a teacher, that's amazing, it's a vocation, it's a purpose, it's your calling, and actually we then feel bad for not sacrificing ourselves to it.
I think that's
there's so much, man.
Yeah, no, and that last one, I think that last one is a bit of both, isn't it? In terms of when we talk about vocation, and it's we are a teacher, like. Our identity is a teacher, and I think that's quite hard to shake, both through, I don't want to say society, but through the idea of what a teacher is and what they do.
Miss Honey,
exactly, but also the pressure we put on ourselves. You know, because we do care, and it almost feels like you were talking about. You know, if you weren't the first in, do I care enough today? Am I doing enough? And actually, I think the biggest thing, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it's so true, is that we are all doing enough. We really are. We're doing enough with what we have.
Yeah.
With, I said earlier about our energy, 100% will look different every day.
Yeah. And
even throughout the day. Yeah. And that your 100% one day might look like 20% the next day. And that's okay because we're only human. So for those of us that are returning to school tomorrow or whatever educational setting we're in, should we just briefly talk about some kind of, some tips or some things that people could put in place to help themselves?
Pre-biscuit talk.
Yeah.
We were talking about compassion.
Yes.
So that we'll link this in nicely. So the way that I like to frame it is compassion. Like you say, we often think about compassion for others is just doing nice stuff, or compassion for ourselves is the bubble baths and, you know, the Lord of the Rings marathons and whatever.
At the same time.
At the same time. There's an idea. I've just bought a new projector as well. Oh, could that work? I don't know.
And you need to get like a little Aragorn or Gandalf,
little
ducky. Yeah.
They must exist. I know they exist. I've seen them before. They've got little capes. But yeah, so compassion. When I'm kind of talking to clients about this, I separate into two camps. So I'm saying there is comforting compassion, which is what we talked about, the stuff that can maybe bring you from being heightened, like to get a bit sciencey with it, bring you from being heightened back down to equilibrium, and like, you know, potentially reduce your blood pressure and your heart rate, your breathing rate, but also reduce your adrenaline, your cortisol, your stress markers and stuff. You know, that can be quite nice, and it's also nice things to do.
Yeah.
But on the other side, and I think this is where we go from short-term fixes, where most well-being lives, online content and stuff. Yeah. We talk about that. We actually get real when we say, right, human first. As humans, we need long-term fixes. And I think we move then towards constructive compassion, which is, we can talk about that 3 C's model in terms of going back to school. That's the stuff that maybe you don't want to do, and maybe it's not super nice and it's not all comforting and lovely and bubble baths, but it's actually stuff that's going to help you tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Yeah.
So off the back of that, because this model is a type of constructive compassion, I think, it's the 3 C's. So if you are this weekend thinking, I'm really struggling, I'm feeling really anxious, I'm worried about work, you know, I'm feeling stressed already, I'm not even back, you're panicking that you haven't done work or whatever, you just worry about this half term. 3 C's, really, first and foremost, we want to create a sense of calm. So we might kind of go for a walk, or we might do some, it's not for everyone, I know, but some breath work or some mindfulness. At the very least, mindfulness is your mind just being full of one thing. So you have a coffee, you just have a coffee, you don't coffee and scroll.
Yeah.
You don't Netflix and scroll.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a
in
time.
the moment. Yeah,
Just
I like
trying
that.
to reduce the amount of stimulus for the brain. It might be a little bit of gentle exercise. It might be a bubble bath. It might be calming music. It might be talking it out. But anything that helps you personally calm, journaling, like anything else you think could go in that camp?
Just quickly, I think we could sit here and list hundreds.
Yeah.
And again, I think it is, we said before, it will be different for everybody. I think if I'm talking from personal experience, I've done journaling in the past, and that's really helped me. I don't do it all the time, but that's definitely something that helps. And like you said, it's focusing on one thing at once. I don't do this enough, but yeah, going for a walk. But then you say that, and it's quite interesting because when I think about the walks I've been on recently, on my own especially, I will put headphones in, which isn't a bad thing, but then I'll take my phone out. And so now I'm walking, and it might not even be necessarily scrolling. It might just be messaging people back and whatnot. And that's not a bad thing. But like you said, I'm trying to make a conscious effort to just focus on one thing at a time. Is there anything in particular that helps you?
I think going out in nature. Now I've got so I've got AirPods, and I'll go out quite often. I'll put sort of, if I'm not feeling just going out and listening to the birds and stuff, I'll put kind of either sort of, he's going to come up again, like Lord of the Rings music, because it is so like calming basically, or even sort of different hertz music. Now I don't know personally the science behind the different hertz sound waves and stuff. I wouldn't be able to tell you accurately, but there's a few playlists, particularly on Spotify and YouTube and stuff. It's the sort, they call it like anxiety relief
I've heard of these.
Obviously that's not a medical sort of prescription, but they are, I do find they work, whether it's placebo or not, but it's just that sort of like, wow,
it works for you, and like we said, if it works for you, then it's
that gets me out of some really sticky patches. Like if I'm feeling really, really like anxious or edging on a panic attack and stuff, that for me, that and a few other things can really help. So that's powerful for me.
And again, this depends, but you could also put on some really good podcasts. We both know one that
we know one
benefit from. And actually, if you're on a walk right now listening to this, we hope it's helping.
If you are doing that, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify.
Yes.
Or other
please do
podcast platforms. This isn't out on all platforms. I think it's everywhere. And give us a little comment. Tell us that you're listening on a walk.
And we said last week, and we'll come back to the season in a minute, because I feel like I was tangent, but we want to be discussing topics that you have come up with for us. So if there's something that works for you, for your well-being, please let us know. And if there's a topic you want us to cover in other episodes, then we're more than happy to do that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Second C.
So the first one was calm. Calm. So that's obviously getting you ready to move forward. And the next one is about kind of clarity. So this is trying to just either verbalize or whatever the equivalent is for writing it down. I don't know, my vocabulary's not that good, but trying to get it out of your head onto paper. There's some good science linking between kind of the difference between verbalizing and handwriting with a pen, even handwriting on pen and paper rather than tablet. Even comparing pen and paper versus a laptop. There's like slight differences in brain activity. Again, I wouldn't be able to go more specific than that, but pen and paper tends to be quite good. But obviously, if you can't be consistent with pen and paper and you can be consistent with the laptop, it doesn't really matter what's optimal. It's what you can stick to, right? So 100%. do what works for you, but getting the muddled mess that might be in your mind right now out onto paper, or at least talk it through with someone, voice note yourself, anything to kind of create clarity around what you're worrying about, what might be coming up, things like that. And then we basically imagine it like a big tangled ball of wool, and we start to kind of pull on the threads, and they're all different colors and sizes and shapes, and some are sparkly, and we kind of try to untangle it one by one and lay them out. And then because you can see it and it's a visual,
you can 100%.
You're like, suddenly you're like, I can actually deal with it,
because in art and art, I know that when I'm going through stages where things might be feeling a little bit overwhelming, there's a lot that's going on, I like to get things written down. And like you said, ideally, and there definitely is some science into pen and paper, but even if it is, you know, in your notes on your phone or even on a calendar, just to have it mapped out. Otherwise, it is all just whizzing round, right, in your head. And that clarity, it really does help.
Yeah.
Again, bringing it back to teaching, you know, I know we all have a Post-it note. And for me, I'm sure I'm not alone, but I would sometimes write things down on the Post-it note that I'd already done just so I could tick across it off.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm alone. If I am, let me know. But it's I think it just lets you know I've done that. And it just kind of out of your head onto paper or
see it.
500%. Yeah.
Just getting clear. And I think particularly around the worries as well, because a lot of power behind worries is that unknown element, and it's the fact that when we shy away from them, they just grow. It's like a monster in the corner at night, isn't it? They get bigger the more we shy away from them almost. But when you look at them, they sort of shrink.
Yeah.
And I think when you can lay them out like that, you can see problems for what they are, not for what they're becoming.
Well, I need to mention this because it is a personal favourite of mine, but Tom Percival, the author, one of my favourite of his collection is Ruby's Worry, which I've read to every class I've ever had, and I would recommend it to anybody. Other authors are available, but he's very good. And it's literally that. It's a young girl, and she has a worry, and she doesn't talk about it, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and she thinks she's alone until she sees somebody else, another young boy with a worry. And then they talk, and it's the idea that, like you said, the worries get smaller and smaller. But what I think the little thing I like about that book is that it doesn't then say that your worry will go away and never come back.
Yeah.
It's just that when it does, you know, like you said, that clarity helps. Talking to somebody, writing it down. I think that's a really lovely book to share with young people, because
that's awesome.
They don't have the skills yet to deal with these kind of things. So yeah, I think clarity is so important. Otherwise it is just it's that thing where it's all those tabs open in your head. And actually, I know there are some teachers who love to have those tabs open on their desktop, but if you went to your laptop and you opened it and there were lots of tabs open, that would be quite overwhelming, right? So it's just about closing some of them down. You know, they might pop open a bit later, but actually that's okay, because you can deal with what's in front of you because you can see it. Which I love. So calm, clarity.
And the last one is certainty. So like you said, was that this episode? I don't know, about the brain loves predictability.
Yes.
Was that still this episode?
Oh, I think was it the last one?
It was sometime. If you've been listening to this, it was sometime. But Charlie basically says,
if it hasn't come up in this one, go back to the first one.
There you go.
And have a little look. Listen, sorry.
We're doing well with these throwbacks, aren't we?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
But like you said about predictability and how the brain loves predictability. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's linked to it's psychological safety, isn't it? Of, you know, imagine if at some point today, this is why we hate not knowing when a delivery is going to turn up.
Yeah.
You've got to stay in all day and you don't know when it's going to come. You're not in danger, but even that makes you feel not unsafe, but it makes you feel on edge and a bit annoyed that you can't do other things. But imagine I said to you, right, at some point today, someone's going to jump out and throw slime on you. You know, someone's going to gunge you.
You're going to be on.
You are going to constantly be on edge, right?
Yeah.
And that sense of not knowing what's coming or when it's going to happen and those sorts of things. So creating certainty can be anything from making your breakfast, making your lunch, putting your laptop charger in your bag now as you listen to this so you don't forget it tomorrow, laying your clothes out for the week. Like so many little things we can do, because it almost just like fills in the blanks of the story. So there is always going to be unknowns when you go back to school, but you're filling in the ones that you can fit in. You know? And
I'm going to come with something else, and I'm sure we'll do this every episode. But as you're talking, I'm listening, and you're really making me think of other things as well. That circle of control.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is. I remember it was one of the first things that my therapist spoke to me about, and it's something that, don't get me wrong, because you and I are always very honest, it's something that I sometimes forget and don't follow through with. But actually, there are it can feel scary, but there are only certain things we can control that are within our control. And like you said, preparing those things, even if it is making your lunch, setting an alarm a little bit earlier to give you more time, etc. If we can focus on the things that are in our control, we'll always worry about those things we can't control. It's normal. When's delivery coming? Is what's going to come up in the staff meeting? What is, what we're going to plan for next week's English lesson? Those things will always come up, but actually, if we really focus on the things we can control, it really does help us. And again, I know I keep saying it, but this could be a whole episode in itself.
We need to listen back to this, listen to all the times we've said that, and then that will be the next 10 episodes.
100%.
But it is good, and I think, we'll go into that in more depth, and we can talk about the circles, and we can...
100.
Yeah.
Because I just think, again, as teachers, especially, but everybody, we can... I feel like sometimes we almost feel like we should be doing everything at once.
And perfectly.
And actually, we tell our young people that mistakes happen. To go at your own speed, that as long as you're trying your best, and your best will look different every day, that's enough.
All the stuff we need to implement.
Exactly. And whenever I think about what I've told my class in the past, we do need to start putting into practice ourselves, because, we want to show up for our young people every day, but that means putting ourselves first as well. And so we hope that what we've discussed, and there's so much more we can discuss. But we really hope that it will help people listening to this, and not just if you're listening to this on Sunday, going back to school tomorrow, but you can come back to this, next weekend, next half term. I think there's lots to think about here. Yeah,
absolutely. And like Charlie said, calm, clarity, certainty, whatever that means for you. So we've just given some examples, but there's sort of like, certainty could be quickly giving your planning a quick refresh in your mind, not going back and perfecting your slides for 2 hours, but for someone that could be something. Someone else might just want to not think about work at all, and focus completely on themselves and what people would call self-care. Like it's got to be so personal, isn't it?
And again, calm. I'm just thinking, like, for me, it is sometimes just putting on. My fiance and I call it easy watching. So we'll put something on that we don't have to think about. We can just switch off. For you, it's Lord of the Rings. For me, sometimes actually Lord of the Rings, you don't have to rethink about Lord of the Rings.
I don't know, I get quite emotional.
Yeah, because I can think about parts. There's always a part where Aragorn goes over the cliff. And even though I know what happens, no spoilers, I still get, like, the first time watching that thinking, surely not.
And so then, early on.
But for me, it's something I can put in the background that just takes my mind away from what's going on. And so it will be unique to everybody, and it's about finding what works for you. And I think the last thing I'll say is that social media has its good points, especially, Teachergram. There are some amazing people on there, and it's such a supportive community. But I think what we all need to try to do is not compare. And if somebody is, if you can see somebody has done everything during the holidays and you've done nothing, that's okay. And if and if they're doing something to help their well-being, that doesn't have to be for you.
100%.
It can be whether it's reviewing biscuits, whether it going for a walk. It is very, very unique to you.
Any comparison is like whoever is like apples and oranges, because we're not the same.
Comparison is a thief of joy.
Absolutely.
There we go.
It's like me comparing my beard growth to your beard growth. There's only one winner.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
This is 2 weeks. I can't even see it on the camera. It's been a good chat.
Definitely. If you haven't listened to the first episode with myself and Charlie, which would be episode 1 of this, but episode
78
of Charlie's, please feel free to go back and have a listen. We really appreciate all of your support. But for this week, that is everything. So it's goodbye from
Charlie, and it's goodbye
from Charlie.
Did we get that right?
Yeah, no. One more time. So it's, I'm going to do, all right, so when I point, you wave.
Right, okay, so you point at me.
And then you wave.
Do I say my name?
Yeah, and then so I say, and it's goodbye from
Charlie.
And then he's
Oh yeah. It's goodbye from him.
it's just goodbye from him. It's not goodbye from me.
Right. Let's go again.
And it's goodbye from
Charlie. And it's goodbye from
Charlie.
Cheers, guys.
See you later.